Hey guys, this is MTG Degree. My name is Luke, and today we are doing the intermediate tutorial for MTG Altered Art. So, if you haven't already seen it, I do have a beginner's tutorial right here, and although we have better technology now, I still think that this is a great tutorial, and really starts with the basics. Today we're going to be stepping it up a little bit, and altering Valorous stance, and we're going to do a full border extension all the way around the card, and before we do that though, we are going to spray a little bit of this finish on it, and what this is it's a matte finish spray, and what that does is this card is super glossy, like all Magic cards, and so your paint is not glossy. So when your paint is sitting right next to the image, it clashes pretty heavily. So what we do is we spray this, and then we make the image itself a matte finish, and then when we're done, we also throw down the matte finish just to seal in the whole thing. Alright, well I'm going to start the time lapse now and talk over that, and see you there.
Alright, so the first thing that I like to do is take a light gray acrylic and just paint in the entire outside where I'm going to be replacing the art. And the reason for this is twofold. One is that since you're painting with really thin layers, you might be forced in the future to paint extra heavy because you can see that division between the black border and the light colored border. And the second one is that acrylics really stick best to acrylics. So by putting down a simple acrylic layer in gray, then your paint later will stick better. Now, as a general rule, I like to paint from the background to the foreground. And the advantage of doing this is that when you paint something on a background that's already there, instead of going back and filling it, then you end up usually getting sharper lines on those things in the foreground that you want to be, well, sharp. Alright, now here you see me playing my favorite game, which is guess the color matching. So for example, in this image, there is this greenish blue color for the sky, and I found that a little bit tough to get on my palette, so I just took my brush and painted a little bit right next to there, and then based on what I can see of them right next to each other, then I can make the matching a little bit sharper, and then once I find what I like, then continue on. The sky here seems to have a bit of a gradient behind the clouds, so all I'm doing is taking my base bluish green color that I made for the sky and just adding minute amounts of black. Alright, so the secret with clouds is actually not a secret. It's just a lot of trial and error. Clouds are pretty darn hard to paint, it turns out, and this guy actually throws us a little bit of a loop because he does like these really swirly clouds in what looks like oil paint. So his are even like a little bit harder to mimic than usual. Also, my camera runs out of memory space here, so you don't get to see me paint in the little clouds at the bottom. A lot of people like to fade to black on the bottom of these cards, and the main reason is it's just kind of easy to fade to black. While there is some black suggestion on the cliff that this figure is standing on, I didn't want to just fully fade to black on this, so I just made a little cliff on the right here, and then at the bottom I'm doing fade to black from brown, so it looks kind of natural considering how much brown there is in this image. On the right side of this image here, I want to extend these clouds, and these are kind of unusual clouds because they're actually more brownish white with highlights of yellow, which you don't see too often, but the artist makes them work fantastically, so we have to continue on the right doing that. On the right side of the image, I decide I want to throw down a cliff. So first I do the background, which I do a simple brown fade to close to black, and then I throw the cliff on top and do a little highlighting on the top, of course, because there's highlighting on the other cliff and we don't want it to kind of stand out as the cliff not being hit by light for some reason. Now, I'm not an artist by trade or anything, so when I look at something like this dragon wing, I try to come up with a way to make it more simple for me. So this looks to me like a close to black fade to lightish brown, and other than that, it's just texturized to show that there are scales there. So that's exactly what I try to do on the right side of this image. Now when there's something like this big dragon wing that's pretty close to the same color all the way across, I basically just throw down one color that I think is pretty close to the median, and then as I go to dark places, I can add a little bit more dark paint there later. And that way I don't have to try to match the tone all the way across the entire time. I can just throw down one big thing and then make it match as I need. Now after a few hours of painting, you've probably gotten a little bit of paint spilled in a small way onto the glossy part of the card that you want there to be no paint on. And so what you can do is just take a toothpick, and this thing's like a magic eraser where that border is, and just scrape away until you've got clean lines all the way around. And that really brings your piece of art from, 9 out of 10 to the full 10 out of 10. And it looks really clean.
Alright guys, well we are done. The only thing that I didn't film is I actually signed my name here in white paint, and then I threw down a second matte finish on it just to seal in everything. Now something that I see really often in videos like this is people in the comments saying, man, I wish I could have that card. And my answer to you is, you can have this card. We're going to do a little bit of a giveaway, and it's pretty darn simple. All you have to do is write anything related in the comments. So, I like cheeseburgers, does not count. And after you've written something, make sure that you're subscribed, and 1 month from now, I will go through the comments and find a way to randomly select one, and then I'll check if they're subscribed. If they are, I'll shoot you a message, and we'll make sure to ship it out to you, and I will ship it worldwide. Shipping's getting pretty cheap these days, so I don't really have a problem with that. Alright, well I hope you found this video useful. My name is Luke, this has been MTG Degree, and I'll see you next video.